Hello, hello.
Good evening.
Hey, everybody. Give everybody a minute to come in here. How you doing, Romeo?
Fair to Midland.
Fair to Midland. Okay. Well, in Texas, Midland's a city, so that
Yep.
that could depend where you be. All right.
That's right.
Welcome, everybody, to Throwback Thursday or Thirsty Thursday or whatever we may want to call it today. It's definitely I want to start this out on a positive note because it is a beautiful time to be alive. There is so much happening in our world, and I mean, think about this, Romeo. President Trump hasn't even been in office 6 months.
That's right. I'm not getting negative on anything. Hey, I think his Epstein response yesterday was the worst moment he's had between
Yeah,
both administrations. Okay.
yeah,
No sugarcoating that. But I also accept that, you know what? They might have a good reason for not telling us.
yeah. I mean,
I trust Trump.
I have a picture that has President Trump in it. If I would have known, I would have loaded it so I could bring it up. But it says it's a picture of President Trump sitting at his, table in, I guess wherever they have the meetings, the administrative meetings, and it says, "I trust this man more than anyone in D.C."
That's exactly right. That's how I feel about it. Until he proves me wrong, I'm with him
Yeah,
because
exactly,
he's already done more awesome things than any president before him in the 6 months he's been in. At this
exactly.
pace, he could actually correct the ship by the time he leaves.
Oh, absolutely. But one thing I want to point out that people have to remember, he's the president of the United States and he is the commander in chief, which means there are some things that the uh, Department of Justice, the FBI, yada, 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 has to handle, and he has to kind of be hands off. He has to have that space between him, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
keep that in mind, everyone. But let's pull up the first thing here. Let me go ahead and pull this up, and I just want to I don't know, I guess send out some positive thoughts here. Sorry, just one second. Present, and this is a real quick one, but I would like to put out there to Attorney General Paxton.
After
My thoughts
facing
and
the, yeah, oh, go ahead.
no, it's okay. My thoughts and prayers. And go ahead and read it if you can see it, Romeo.
Yep, after facing the pressures of countless political attacks and public scrutiny, Angela and I have decided to start a new chapter in our lives. Could not be any more proud or grateful of the incredible family that God has blessed us with, and I remain committed to supporting our amazing children and grandchildren. I ask for your prayers and privacy at this time.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up because, Ken Paxton has not only done great things for Texas, but he's done great things for our country.
No matter
And
what they went at him with, he never gave up. He
that's
never
right.
backed down. He's one of the good ones that I respect.
That's right. And so I think we do need to give our prayers to him and his family right now. His wife is part of the Texas Senate. I'm not sure if a lot of people realize that, but you have two people in two very prominent positions within politics within the state of Texas, to say the least. And a marriage is difficult anyway, especially nowadays
Right,
in
right.
our polarizing times. But yeah, so let's just give them our thoughts and prayers because I don't like ever seeing any marriage, have issues. So I wanted to just start that off by saying we are praying for you, Attorney General, and I hope your political aspirations as far as replacing Cornyn continue because Texas needs you. And quite honestly, I would love to see you in a different position. more where you could help our nation, but after what you're going through, only you can decide what's best for you and your family. So we send our prayers and love. All right.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and get this started a little bit. Close that one out. All right. Let's see here. I'm sorry, my mouse is kind of broken, so just bear with me today. I'm doing the best I can. I'll go ahead and read this one, Romeo. It's from Boone Cutler. It says Secret Service agents suspended. 6 U.S. Secret Service agents were suspended for their roles in security lapses during the attempted assassination of then presidential candidate Donald Trump at his rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th, 2024. The suspensions were confirmed just days before the first anniversary of the attack. The agents received penalties ranging from 10 to 42 days of unpaid leave and were reassigned to restrict or less critical operational roles. During the incident, a 20-year-old gunman identified as Thomas Matthew Crooks opened fire at the rally, grazing Trump's ear and killing one attendee, Corey Compratore, while injuring 2 others. Secret Service counter snipers fatally took him out within moments of the attack. An independent review by the Department of Homeland Security found significant law enforcement breakdowns, concluding that the Secret Service does not perform at the elite levels needed to discharge its critical mission due to bureaucratic stagnation and complacency. The former Secret Service director, Kimberly Cheadle, resigned from her role in July 2024 amid criticism of the agency's response to the attack. The suspended agents, whose roles range from supervisory to line agent level, have the right to appeal their suspensions. So I found that
When was this action taken?
Boone actually put this out, I believe today. Oh, sorry, yesterday at 10:47 p.m.
I think it was a good action. I think it was necessary. I think just the very fact that you had like 4 or 5 or 6 girls under the height of 5'8" to guard a 6'2" tall man. I mean, it just that in and of itself is a poor thought process.
Absolutely.
They're right in the letter when they say they're not a premier protective agency because they're just not. I mean,
No.
look at I don't care how understaffed they were. The roof Crooks was on,
Yeah.
that was the number one place that you would do a thing like that from. I mean, come on. And at the
Yeah.
exact same minute, one guy who's supposed to be looking out that window is downstairs opening the door for the other guy who forgot his key card. Like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? During the exact window, I'm sorry. I see a little more than I know this isn't our topic, but I see a
It's
little
okay.
more than just negligence there.
Yeah. I agree. Do you want to go ahead and read this? It gives us a
Sure.
little bit more information.
6 Secret Service agents suspended over 2024 Trump assassination attempt. Agency vows to fix deficiencies after Pennsylvania incident in which sniper fired several shots, killing one man, Corey Comprador. 6 Secret Service agents have been suspended without pay after the assassination attempt of Donald Trump at the Pennsylvania rally last July. The suspensions ranged from 10 to 42 days, with a loss of both salary and benefits during the absence. The disciplinary action comes nearly a year and a half after the July 13th shooting at the Butler Farm Showgrounds, where 20-year-old Matthew Thomas Crooks fired multiple rounds from an unsecured rooftop, grazing Trump's ear and killing firefighter Cordy Compratore. Quinn defended the agency's decision not to dismiss the agents outright, telling CBS News the service would not fire our way out of this crisis. We're going to focus on the root cause and fix the deficiencies that put us in this situation. adding that suspended personnel would return to reduced operational roles. By the way, I totally agree with that decision. You know, look at there were some mistakes made that day that weren't anybody's fault. Like
Right.
the girls who weren't tall enough. They were
Well,
they shouldn't have been on a, you know, on an assignment with a taller protectee. It doesn't there was things like that that went on that
well,
were
they were following orders, you know.
that's what I was going to say. It's
Yeah.
piss poor management is what it
Yeah.
is. It really is piss poor management.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and finish this real quick.
The shooting exposed serious security failures as Crooks was able to position himself on a building with a clear sight line to Trump, then a presidential candidate. The Secret Service sniper eventually killed Crooks, though not before he took out Comprador and wounded two other attendees. 2 months later, a second apparent assassination attempt against Trump was thwarted at his Florida golf course. The suspect, Brian Ruth, who authorities said stalked out a spot in the trees with a gun for 12 hours before he was apprehended, has pleaded not guilty, of course. The
Yeah.
first attack, which happened on live television, triggered the eventual resignation of Kimberly Cheadle, Secret Service director, and prompted multiple congressional investigations. A bipartisan House report published in December described the security lapses as preventable and blamed poor leadership and training for creating the conditions in which such failures could occur. The report highlighted coordinated breakdowns between Secret Service and local law enforcement, as well as the placement of inexperienced personnel in critical advanced planning roles. There it is.
Yeah.
In critical advanced planning roles. A separate Senate investigation in September concluded that multiple foreseeable and preventable planning and operational failures enabled the shooting, citing unclear responsibilities, poor coordination, and faulty communications equipment, among the other systemic problems. Quinn told CBS News that the Secret Service bore full responsibility for the Pennsylvania debacle, calling it an operational failure while promising reforms to prevent future incidents. He said the agency had since introduced military grade drones and mobile command posts to improve communication with local police, technology that was absent during the Butler rally. I tell you what, they wouldn't have missed that with Joe Biden.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think that, there are no coincidences to me
No,
in a lot of things, especially in this time that we live. And you know, I- I'm glad to see that things are still being done. Okay, that this just didn't like get swept under the rug. Um, Now, I still think there's more to be done, but they're going back and they're taking a look at the mistakes made that day, regardless whether it was uh I don't want to use the word purposeful, but that's my opinion. Uh
I would look at the guy who lost his key card and called his only partner who were overlooking 20 feet from where Crooks was shooting from.
yeah.
That guy who lost his key card, I like to take a real deep look at his finances and all kinds of stuff because
I like that idea, Romeo. I mean, follow the money is always key.
yeah,
Always key.
look at that's just too too if you hated Trump and like the left and wanted him gone, that's just too fortuitous of a happenstance for me to
Yeah.
believe it's coincidental. I don't believe that.
Yeah. I don't know. Exactly. I don't believe in coincidences, not at this point in time. So anyway, I'm just glad. I just wanted to bring that up because I'm not sure some of you may have seen it, some of you may have not, but at least it's showing that we're trying to correct some of the issues. All right.
Yeah,
And I
we have to
don't
do that everywhere, don't we? Throughout our
absolutely.
whole government, our whole process.
And I don't think this is the last we'll see. But yeah, so let's I got something else here. Let's take a look.
Very, very good.
I'll go ahead and read this real quick. Remember this thread where it was pointed out that LA Mayor Karen Bass was a Castro operative? Well, we may have to upgrade Karen Bass to an actual foreign terrorist. Reminder, this is the woman who was vice chair of NED. And right here it says, I'm going to read a little bit above so you have some context. In those documents, intelligence officers accused one plaintiff of making death threats against police officers, accused another of fostering racial strife, and contended that a third plaintiff traveled to Cuba to learn guerrilla warfare. Plaintiff Karen Bass, according to a 1973 intelligence document provided to the Times, traveled to Cuba with the 6th contingent of Venceremos Brigade. The brigade trains revolutionary prone Americans in terrorist tactics and guerrilla warfare while claiming to harvest sugarcane. Bass, characterized as a brigade leader, returned from Cuba to the USA, bringing back propaganda literature. The document noted without citing the source of this information.
Guess who the NDE is?
Well,
Remember the
we're
NDE?
about to hit that. So go ahead and read
The
this.
National Endowment for Democracy. I mean,
Can you
that's who said it. That's who sent her to Cuba.
right? Can you see this, Romeo?
Yep.
Okay.
Who really is Karen Bass? Most people know her as the mayor of Los Angeles, and some remember her botched handling of this year's wildfire crisis. But there's a lot more. Karen Bass once served as vice chair of the National Endowment for Democracy, a U.S. government-funded NGO notorious for meddling in foreign governments under the banner of promoting democracy. Translation, soft power regime change. 2. NED has been exposed repeatedly for funding color revolutions, pushing Western-aligned NGOs and helping topple governments that don't play ball with U.S. interest. Bass was right in the middle of it. 3. And then there's the scholarship scandal. LA County Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas got federally indicted for receiving a scholarship from USC's School of Social Work and allegedly trading favors. Bass, she received the exact same scholarship, but no charges, not even a slap on the wrist. 4. Why the double standard? When you're part of the machine, when you've got DC connections, NGO backing, and ties to Intel adjacent nonprofit world, you get protection. She's not a DEI figurehead. She's in the system. 5. This thread will walk through her career, her quiet rise through the soft power institutions, and how she became a key player in the globalist swamp.
Yeah. She is just yeah, there's a lot here that people do
She's a beauty,
not
huh?
yeah, that do not understand. Let me go ahead and I'll
When
read
I
through
hear
this.
like color revolution, like I'm thinking right away like all those like Saul Alinsky rules for radicals. I'm thinking like starting in the 60s with, there were Black Panthers were all kinds of different groups on every side and every ethnicity. But the bottom line is they're all Marxist.
Yeah.
They are all Marxist. They are communist. I'm going to say it exactly
Oh
how it is.
yeah.
Sugarcoat it.
Yeah. Exactly, Romeo. And the fact that, I'm not surprised, but the fact that the mainstream media doesn't cover any of this, just shows you where they stand. But let me go ahead and let me read through this really quick. Karen Bass' political career started early. She volunteered in Robert Kennedy's political campaign in middle school. She studied philosophy at San Diego University from 1971 to 1973, but she was already a full-fledged political activist by then. At the age of only 19 years old, she was already visiting Cuba every 6 months as a part of a group called Vencermos Brigade. These visits would continue to the mid 1970s. The Vencermos Brigade was a joint effort from the Castro government. She was working at the behest of quasi governmental NGO backed by Castro.
Sounds like the idiot that just was running for vice president and lost. All that
Mhm.
time, one spent time in Cuba, one spent time in China.
If you're asking yourself why and how so many activists are raised, this is a common pattern. They go after extremist university students, and these students become NGO careerists. This is why a top priority of the Trump administration must be to kneecap NGOs and foreign influences in colleges.
Yep.
Bass was indoctrinated into Castro doctrine that she ended up embracing the more authoritarian aspects of this ideology and ironically rejecting the hippie movement.
Make no mistake, Bass isn't stupid. She's one of the more intelligent ones, which makes her more dangerous.
Yep. Can you read that?
The Vengeance, or the Vencermos Brigade,
There you go.
uh,
There you go.
pilgrimages to Cuba. The group was founded in 1969 by members of the Students for Democratic Society, or SDS, and the Cuban government. Were a magnet for the most radicalized and often delusional cadres of the American left, including overtly Maoist and pro Soviet communist groups that preached the imminence of a US style workers' revolution. The culture clash between American radicals and Cuban communist functionaries at times erupted into intense conflict during the early 1970s, most notably when it came to the Cuban government's insistence that um,
Yeah. Everybody can see it.
yeah, that lifestyle was a form of illegal social deviance, and that homo activists and often individuals suspected of being homo should be incarcerated under brutal conditions for decades at a time. Wow. Interestingly, Bass, working in Cuba, helped the future congresswoman reject the cultural looseness that 1960s radicalism often had championed. Isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like real pro LGBT everything now, but her
Yep.
real feelings are far from it. Cuba,
Exactly.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. No, I'm sorry. Cuba was for her what psychotherapy is for others, a process through which she re examined her values, her behavior, her relationship with her family, and her future goals. Uh, the Nugal's dissertation concluded the irresponsibility and drug taking of where are we? Of
Here.
the 1960s, radicalism had often championed. No, that's the other. The irresponsibility and drug taking of the 60s. I'm right at the bottom.
Oh, sorry. There we go. I'm sorry. I think this we can leave it there.
That might be it, actually. It
Yeah.
seemed like there might have been another sentence,
Yeah.
or that might be it, actually. The
Yeah.
irresponsibility and drug
Let
taking of
me
the
just
60s.
end it with this. In the late 1980s, Bass founded the Community Coalition in South Los Angeles, more commonly known as COCO. Their EIN number is 954298811, and they have since grown to possess 31 million in assets and get $9 million in revenue. About 3 million of that is in government grants.
I'm so sick of paying the very groups that want to destroy America. Why?
Yeah.
Are we paying them to hate us? They can hate us for free, like Trump says. Like, get rid of. I
Yeah.
don't care how long the National Endowment for Democracy's been
Yeah.
around. I don't care who belongs to it, what history they have. Buy,
Yep.
get your own money.
And you're right, Scott. Most of these folks are chameleons, where whatever they need to be to just bring it down.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. But, I really don't think that most of the people within Los Angeles really know who their mayor is.
No.
and it's so important. I you know, after everything we just read, during the fires, during the last fires that we just witnessed, and so many people, not just stars, okay, not just the wealthy, but just normal people in homes that their family, were passed down from their dad or mom passed it down, or their grandma or their grandpa, and the families lived in that home forever. Where was she when all this was going on?
Karen
Overseas.
Bass?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was overseas.
Yep.
She was wasn't she did she go to China? Or where
No,
did
she
she
was
go? I
in
forget.
Africa.
Africa,
And
that's right. That's
and
right.
why was she there? She was there to talk about opening an embassy for them
Yeah, you know what I
in
was gonna say?
LA.
I didn't remember. I was gonna say for some completely unimportant, retarded stuff. And
Yeah.
that, hey, the mayor is gone. The reservoirs aren't filled.
Right.
The Olympics are coming in 2 years. So you have to keep that in perspective when you listen to what happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So none of the reservoirs were filled. The fire department had the ability to fight fires with the water they could carry in their truck. That was it. So they could handle a house fire if they got there early enough, because that's about how much water's in there. They could
Yeah.
handle a house fire if they got there early enough, but pretty much everybody else was screwed. No wildfire ability. So to me, that's a crime. There are people who have the job
Yeah.
of keeping those reservoirs full. That is a crime. And
Yeah.
and it's like being blown right over, like in Lahaina. It looks like a land grab for the Olympics.
Yeah. And I don't think we've seen a thorough enough investigation into that whole thing yet either. I
No,
mean, if
instead of
you
like
it
eminent domain and them just, buying out people's property to use for public land, this is what happens. Like
well,
now the people are at a disadvantage, and they're, to whatever offer the insurance company wants to make for their property.
Well, I think my point in wanting to share this with you guys is that I don't think people really realize who Karen Bass is.
Mhm.
And everybody's causing this big uproar about New York and this Mehmet or whatever his name is,
Mhm.
guy, about him being a
He's
socialist, a communist, and all this. We already have him
right.
as
Zohar.
mayors. Yes, we already have that as mayors in county government and state government. And the big hoopla about him. I'm like going, wait a minute, we got Karen Bass over here already.
Or what about
And
Carrollton in Chicago? Like,
yeah,
I mean, just these are the bottom of the barrel. I mean, as far as like patriotic, uh, decent policy public servants, these are not them. These
yeah,
are like, you know, these are your typical what you'd expect from like a George Soros if he was hiring mayors.
yeah. And Jan, I hope so. I hope so. Because here's the thing, you cannot run a city like Los Angeles, as large as it is, and have some of the things that have happen. And the people of LA really need to demand investigations. They're not even rebuilding yet. Remember, Trump went in there and was talking about the permits and stuff, and she was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, we're on it, we're on it, we're gonna cut the red tape and all that."
no,
That
they're
hasn't
not,
happened.
because
No.
they want these people, they want to drag this out so these people are ready to settle. They're
Mhm.
ready for any offer by the time they get paid.
Yep.
This is a typical scam. It's just like in the legal system when you're charged with a crime and they make your bail unpayable so that you have to sit in and fight your case from in jail.
Yeah.
Okay. Same type thing.
Yep.
This is leveraging government against the interests of the people.
Absolutely. And Andrew, yeah, where are the recalls? You know? everybody has an opinion. Everybody wants to complain, but I'm sorry, LA, stand up, stand up. And I'm not saying this on a political note. I'm saying this on a survival note.
You
Like,
have the power.
yeah, you have the power and you want to survive. You want your families to thrive. I don't care who you're voting for as far as, party wise, Democrat, Republican, but you voted for this and you didn't even know what she was. So, recall her. That's within your power,
Yes,
but if you
she's the mayor.
don't, then you're going to continue to watch the demise of your city, and it's unfortunate. It really is, but
Think about this. She's the top law enforcement officer in LA County. I mean,
yeah,
she's the mayor.
it's ridiculous. I mean, and yeah, I mean, maybe Andrew, maybe it's all rigged. But one thing I think we've all learned is that if we yell loud enough, Trump hears. So I really think it's time for the people of LA to start, you know, yelling more. And like I said, this needs to not be a political divide issue. This needs to be a survival issue for everyone that lives in Los Angeles, not just Los Angeles, but California. I mean, California's got to step up and say enough is enough.
That's right. Imagine it like this: a closed mouth never gets fed.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So enough of that. I just wanted to bring that up because I think it's important, because this lady is in my book, she's an enemy combatant in my opinion. All
I
right.
think
So,
that's a decent way to describe her. She's a full blown communist.
yes, exactly. All right. I have a video I want to share with you guys. Here it's Tom Fitton. Let me bring this up and let's change the subject. I'm going to turn the volume up as much as possible, but you may have to listen a little closely because when I listened to it earlier, it was a little low. Hopefully, I fixed it.
So Judicial Watch just sued for the Epstein files. We want the client lists. We want the documents the Justice Department and the FBI have about this scandal. We've been getting stonewalling. So despite the release of some records, it looks like other records haven't been released yet. Indeed, they haven't responded to our basic FOIA requests for this information. That's why we're in federal court now. The best way to understand what records are available, which records are being held secret, and where did they look for the records is to be in court. And that's where Judicial Watch is. And that's what we specialize in doing, getting secrets from the government they don't want you to know about. And people want to know about the Epstein scandal, and we aim to get to the bottom of it.
I thought that was good. I thought that was
Yeah,
good. It's nice to see Tom Fitton standing up and saying, "Hey,
we're
don't,
not giving up.
yeah, don't tell us to sit down and shut up," because that's essentially what was done.
Right,
You know.
right. Yeah.
So go ahead.
It was Trump's worst press conference yesterday of both administrations. I mean, it was a insufficient answer. He would have been better off to come out and say, there are things going on here that I can't even hint about. And that's the reason we're not releasing it at this time. Please bear with us. There will be a day to do it. But right now, we have other more important battles, and I don't need this to run the news cycle. There are good reasons. You hired me to be president. You trust me. There are good reasons not to make this public and blow this up right now. That's
Yep.
all he had to say, Lisa.
No, I
And you know
know.
what we'd all be talking about right now? We'd all be kind of complaining and, you know, but it wouldn't be this.
Yeah.
Look, the left is capitalizing off of this.
Yeah. Going
And
back
they're the
to,
last ones that want to list out.
yeah, but Romeo, I mean, think about this. now the Democrats are wanting this list. Like, Trump's good. Like, you got to remember Art of War, Sun Tzu. He's smart, and I guess part of me is giving him the benefit of the doubt because the stink that was raised over this, and I find it interesting because he had a good point. Because he was taught Trump just came off probably one of the best weeks so far for
Mhm.
the administration. And that's what they were talking about. So I can understand on one hand his frustration because, here you have this vile, disgusting human, and then they're in there talking about some of the amazing things that our president is doing, for our nation. Um, but I also think that he put Bondi on the spot because he said
It
what he had
didn't
to
help.
say.
Yeah, it didn't help that he began the conversation with, "Why are you even still interested in this?" When he
No, I agree.
knows everyone is interested in this.
Well, we
Like I
laugh when
said,
Trump trolls other people. Maybe he was just trolling us.
I don't think he was trolling us. I think that there's information in here that's beneficial. The most wealthy people in the world were lured to Little St. James, and on that island, every and any vice a person had was available to them on tap. Everything was wired and recorded for sound. Many governments around the world probably subcontracted and ran ops with citizens that they needed to get control of with a
Yeah.
little,
Well,
blackmail. And I think that we don't, I think the decision has been made that because it can't be that it
well,
just makes us look too bad. It's that the information, the leverage we have from the information is still so powerful that it's
yeah,
valuable enough for Trump to pull a stunt. He should have just told us, I can't, like I just said, that's what he
yeah.
should have.
Well, I agree, Andrew. I mean, Trump did. He made Bondi look like a liar. And Trump's
Yeah.
really good. We got to remember he's really good at putting people out there, pushing them out there. And
I think he was trying to protect her, but he just
oh, I
didn't do
don't.
it right.
No, I don't. I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all. And in fact, I think there are a lot of people on the internet calling for resignation, and I don't. After this debacle,
She
I
didn't
don't.
make this decision. She did. Trump makes this
But
decision. That's why he interrupted and
no,
started
no,
off
no,
the conversation.
no, no. But you don't go out in front of the public and do what she did and make the president of the United States look bad. And that's
You
what she
mean
did.
when she said that stuff in the diner that
Sh-
got caught by James
No,
O'Keefe?
no, no. I'm just saying you never get in front of the messaging of the president of the United States. And
I
she did.
totally agree, but I think the way it happened is I don't think that even Cash or Dan Bongino were aware of what was at stake, what information they had on who, and what they were getting in exchange for it. I don't think that that was common knowledge. And I think these guys came in and they found out, what it would cost to let everything out, and I don't think they did it. I think
Mm,
in the end, Trump decided no, the information's more valuable. I mean, and I'm not the only one saying that.
I
Tucker
know.
Carlson, a lot of people
I
are, because what was Little St. James? It was a honey trap.
well, yeah, but at the same point, I also don't think that I think everybody at this point is just guessing. But let's go ahead and take a look at this. Hold on one second. Where'd it go? There we go.
The Epstein list in a seismic overnight event already sending shockwaves through the elite social circles A rogue hacker known only as Island Boy has breached a protected internal media server and released the full Epstein associate list. A decades in the making web of names, secrets, and suppressed testimony. The files posted to the dark web archive at exactly 12 a.m. Eastern Standards are said to contain the long speculated list. A roster of individuals connected through flights, financial ties, and party invitations, and suspicious silence. The release comes after years of speculation, half leaks, sealed court files, and missing evidence. Island Boy, whose true identity remains unknown, issued only a short cryptic message alongside the files. They buried the truth on an island. I'm just bringing it back to shore. Well, that's funny.
Part of
Wow.
the list here is, and this is all of the allegedly. We cannot corroborate this. We don't know who Island Boy is. We are just bringing you, interesting stuff that's out there right now. John Connolly, New York police detective. Alan Dershowitz, prolific lawyer and media pundit who represented Epstein in 2006. Leonardo DiCaprio, Al Gore, Richard Branson, British billionaire and business magnate, founder of the Virgin Group. Stephen Hawking, British physicist and science author. Ehud Barak, former Israeli prime minister. Michael Jackson, Marvin Minsky, artificial intelligence pioneer. Kevin Spacey, actor known for his roles in Seven and House of Cards, found not guilty of SA in 2023. George Lucas, Jean-Luc Brunel, French model agency boss, alleged Epstein co-conspirator who passed in an apparent off himself while awaiting trial. Kate Blanchett, Australian actor who starred in Lord of the Rings and Tar. Naomi Campbell, British model. Heidi Klum, German, U.S. model. Sharon Churcher, British journalist. Bruce Willis, Bianca Jagger, activist and wife of the Rolling Stones frontman Sir Mick Jagger. Bill Richardson, former governor of New Mexico. Cameron Diaz, actor who starred in Shrek. Glenn Dubin, an American hedge fund manager who was allegedly friends with Epstein. Eva Anderson Dubin, former Miss Sweden and wife of Glenn Dubin, once dated Epstein. Noam Chomsky, linguist and political philosopher. Tom Pritzker, American tycoon and philanthropist. Chris Tucker, American comedian and actor known for his role in the Rush Hour films. It goes on and on and on and on and on. So, point being is,
Pretty much everybody.
yeah, but the point being, we don't need necessarily the DOJ or any of these guys to bring out anything. What we need them to do is we need them to investigate and get to the bottom of this. I mean, is this true? Is it not? I don't know who this hacker is. I don't know where this information came from. All of this is alleged
You know what
at this
occurred to me?
point.
You know who we're not hearing anything from?
Hmm.
Who's totally silent? The left.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't care if this comes out, I guess, because I haven't heard them say one word about
Actually,
it.
no.
Or to bad
They
mouth.
are. No. They are now because Trump seems to be backing off of it.
Because we're upset. They're going after it. That's the only reason why. They don't want to talk about this. These are their friends. Here, this is really, really, really simple. Joe Biden was just president for 4 years. If there was any information about Trump in the Epstein world, they would have dumped it on Trump years ago. They would have ruined him with it so he couldn't be president right now. So, I mean, there's some things we can know, and you look at the wealth and the power on the list you just showed me of the people there,
Mhm.
and I mean, most
Well,
or maybe most of them were caught doing something at least that they would just do in their own bedroom at home, but now it's on camera and someone
well,
has it.
I, yeah, but I'm gonna play this. I can't play sound, guys. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing because it's 7 minutes, but I just want to show you this. This is Epstein's 2008 original trial document. This is what this is from. Okay. And they're telling us that there's no black book. This is the black book. And I'm just going to play, just let it play because there is music. I cannot continue. But this is from his 2008 trial, evidence that was used in that trial.
It's court record now. Wow.
Exactly.
Look at all the names.
Yeah.
Baldwin's.
And we're only on B. And this goes on for 7 minutes. So whatever Bondi wants to say, I'm
There was just
sorry.
a guy named Daniel Bondi.
Maybe I have to call BS because this is from the 2008 trial. So
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Look at the black book exists. He was blackmailing people.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Everything that was said at the press conference and everything that's been said by Cash and Bongino and Bondi, as far as he voted himself off the island. This is what it is.
Mhm.
We're telling you the truth. That's all not the truth. I'm sorry. It's not the truth. There is a black book. You're showing it to us, and we're only at the E's.
Mhm.
I mean, it's
Yep.
been playing for a minute. We're at the E's. So look at all of the stuff they told us was patently false, which is why I said Trump should have just everybody could handle. Listen, we're not doing this right now. We'll get to it. We're not doing it right now. Everybody could have handled that.
Yep.
What's blowing everything up is the way he handled it. He handled it very poorly.
Well, and it exactly. But here's the other thing. I like Cindy's thought here. She says this is so President Trump can't be implicated in doing it. I have to agree with you. The president of the United States has to remove himself from this, especially because of the history. And what I mean by history is the incident that happened at Mar-Lago where Trump kicked him out, you know, and the business dealings as far as real estate goes. That's as far as it goes with Trump. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
that for sure. Like I said a minute ago, if Biden's DOJ had information that would have tarnished Trump with Epstein, they would have released it They wouldn't have told on everybody else, but they would have told on Trump.
Yeah.
Anything they had, they would have. So obviously, ergo, there is nothing on Trump and Epstein.
Yeah. All right, guys. So, we all know it's BS and I think we're doing a good job with calling it out because we're not going to just stand by and be told to sit down and shut up. That's not happening. Not after all of the gaslighting and everything that we've been through with this.
You just said it. That's why everyone's pissed off.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. What does this come down to? Right? Children being hurt. If there's one thing America will not stand for, we're not going to stand for it. And Trump made a promise, a campaign promise, that he would come down on traffickers. And we want him held to it.
Hey, they don't
And I
even
don't
know.
mean out of any disrespect for our president. I love our president. I think he's doing an amazing job, but he's got to be able to lean on his people. And I'm sorry, but Bondi's not cutting it in my book.
I don't think Bondi made the decision. Trump made the decision.
I don't know.
We know that the black book exists. We know that the attempts to blackmail are real. We know that the videos of all those people in that black book that went to the island, the ones that went to the island, anything they did, like even if it was with their spouse, it was recorded. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of people being blackmailed. Now, I don't think our government is specifically, blackmailing the innocent guy who was with his wife, and I don't think that's happening. But I think there's, really wealthy people who have interests in a shipping company out of Taiwan or wherever, and
it's a club, Romeo. It's an elite club, and it's sick. It's evil. And it needs to be taken down. And I'm sorry. I know that President Trump really believes in protecting the American people, but more so protecting kids. And so whatever his reason was for treating it the way he did,
it's a good reason. He wouldn't have done it if it wasn't.
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt in that.
Yeah, me too.
But if not, then shame on the people in his ear. Because if that's the case, then they're not listening to us.
Look, if there's no good reason to not tell us this, I'm absolutely disgusted.
Yeah.
But I know better. You never see Trump do what he did yesterday.
Yeah.
You never see that. I don't imagine we'll see it. I don't imagine we'll see it again on another subject where he handles it so badly. This just is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry here. I don't know why this isn't loading right. Oh, there we go. We haven't even hit the main subject here, Romeo. Let's go ahead and let's see here. Deadly floods ravaged communities across 3 states, spawning unprecedented devastation as residents in Texas, New Mexico, and North Carolina work to clear debris and begin the recovery process. First responders are continuing to search for those who were swept away and remain missing. Communities across the U.S. are reeling after torrential rain produced catastrophic flooding that sent deadly walls of water rushing downstream, devastating communities in Texas, New Mexico, and North Carolina, all within 1 week. As residents in those communities work to clear debris and begin the recovery process, first responders continue to search for those who were swept away and remain missing. New flood threats are also on the horizon for some of the same areas that were already hit the hardest. I just want to go ahead and, since we're running short on time, at least 119 people were killed and more than 170 people remain missing after catastrophic flash flooding was reported in several communities across Hill Country in Texas. The disaster struck along the Guadalupe River after a deadly flood wave sent a 20-foot wall of water rushing downstream. Let me go ahead and play this real quick for everybody. Oh, sorry.
Sadly, windshield chip.
Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second here. I had it loaded up. But...
yeah, it always does that when you go to play it. If you pause it, so
SafeLight can come to you for free. Replace your windshield.
Okay.
With flexible payment option.
Okay, we get it.
At SafeLight.com.
SafeLight repair. Bye-bye. SafeLight replace. Why is it not playing?
You gotta hit play. Oh. There we go.
Yeah, I hit play. There we go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a house back there.
And this is in Center Point.
Oh, there's a cat in there.
Get the cat.
For the cat.
Oh,
That's a house. A whole
yeah.
house.
Go get the cat.
Yeah.
Man. He's afraid to go in there, ain't he?
Yeah. I mean, that is a full-size house.
I know. Right up against the bridge. Or that isn't even a bridge. There's trees right there. That's a highway.
No,
Jeez.
that's a highway.
Wow. You can't outrun that.
Look at it again from the outside.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, I just want everybody to understand the force of this. It is absolutely, it's mind-blowing. This is not something that's normal. Let me go ahead. We're running a little behind, so I'm gonna go ahead and I've got another one here I want you guys to see because this is absolutely, absolutely incredible. The force of water. And there's more rains coming. And I know we all get complacent and get flood warnings, flash flood warnings all the time. But please, everyone, I think especially during this time and place we're in, we need to pay attention. But let's take a look at this. This is also Texas. And here it comes.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the water. Yes, absolutely. Keep watching. Watch as it rises.
That is so deadly right there.
See how high it's risen? These are full-size trees. That's a bridge that was just 30 feet in the air. It does look like a dam broke.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I mean, that looks to be like 10 foot, 8 foot deep right there.
That's
Yeah,
the bridge we were just looking down from.
right. Wow. Time to get off the bridge.
It's going over the bridge now.
Yeah.
All right, that's the beginning of it. Again, where it's coming in.
Oh
You see
wow,
it?
that's more than 10 feet. That's 20 feet.
These
That's
are full-size trees.
15. That's a lot of water. Wow.
Look how fast.
Yeah, if you get caught in that, you're going wherever it takes you. The only thing you
Thank
can do
you,
is try and
Daniel.
keep your head above water.
Watch the tree. Yeah, it I saw a news channel that talked about uh what they say, it was more water than falls over Niagara Falls in one day.
I saw
In
that same thing.
in that short period of time.
Yeah, in a small area too, a localized area. So
Exactly. I have something else I want to share with you. I'm trying to get through this as quick as I can, Romy. Let's see. All right, here we go.
This is where little girls should be making memories.
This is
on the
from
4th of
3 days
July,
ago.
not where police dogs search for their bodies in a flash flood no one saw coming. The Guadalupe River didn't rise, it ripped lives apart.
We got chainsaws, all shapes and sizes, varieties, shovels, some recovery tools.
Volunteers joined hundreds of state, local, and federal crews combing miles of devastation.
I'll be honest, if I had a loved one missing, these are the kind of people I would want searching for them. Very well prepared, very well organized, and just willing to do whatever needs to be done.
The missing could be anywhere, in the treetops, in the brush, or buried beneath what the rivers left behind. A drone can show you the damage, but only down here can you hear what the water took.
How long did this happen?
I was sleeping in there when it happened.
So how are you here?
That's a good question.
But it's hard to celebrate survival when death is still in the water.
What's even more tragic, as I'm talking to Christian about how he was able to survive the flash flood, a body was found floating in the river.
The headlines can't keep up with the death toll, and neither can we. From July 4th to 5th, it kept going, from Hunt to Kerrville to Georgetown and Burnett.
It scared the hell out of me. And so I can't believe this happened. And there was no warnings.
This was supposed to be a holiday weekend in the Texas Hill Country. Instead, we've watched families lose everything. And now the search for the missing is what matters. This is what's really happening out here.
This has got to be just the service you don't want to, but you feel you have to.
Absolutely, yeah. I think for anybody that can relate to this feeling, this is a terrible deal. So whatever we can do to help.
Over 850 people have been rescued, but 48 hours later, the hope of finding more alive is fading. This is Camp Mystic, a beloved girls' summer camp tucked into the Texas Hill Country. Early July 4th, as floodwaters surged through the Guadalupe, at least 24 campers were swept away, while counselors scrambled to save the rest. Search teams now stretch from just outside of Hunt to Kerrville on foot, on horseback, and by helicopter. Volunteers, law enforcement, and locals are scouring the valley mile by mile. In and around Hunt, the damage is some of the worst. Homes ripped from their foundations. But in the center of town, one old building stood firm, and it saved the life of its young owner.
And I woke up around 3 a.m. to the storm, to super loud thunder. And originally I thought someone broke into the house because I didn't even know it was supposed to be raining, let alone a flood coming. So I swing my feet over the bed and my feet hit the floor. I'm like, that's water. I walked in here from that door right there, and there used to be a wooden deck right there through that door. And I looked to my left and I saw that was just ripped up and the water was just flooding in from there.
So at that point, how high was the water when you first got up?
It was about like a little bit higher than my ankle.
So, I mean, at that point, that's scary, but it's not.
I was like still confused, like what's going on.
So then you open the door and a flood of water just rushes in.
Yeah, I was trying to close it. I don't know why. But I started walking back this way, and by that time there was furniture in the way right here that I was having to climb over.
And I'm looking here in your kitchen. The water definitely.
Yeah, it got up to the ceiling. This is where I was sleeping. Came back in here, and then that wooden box cadenza thing was sitting, or was in this room. And I had the air mattress in here, so I threw all my stuff on the air mattress. And I was trying to get on the air mattress, but at this point it was like above my head. I had to think of how to get out of here. I tried opening the door wouldn't open. And I noticed the window was broken, so I swam through the window.
Not climbed, you swam.
Yeah, the water was high enough to where I was like standing like this against the window, and I could pick myself up. I picked up my feet, and I went through feet first. Climbed onto the meter box, and I was standing up here for like 3 hours, and the water was up to my knees at that point while I was standing up there.
You couldn't quite get up onto the roof.
No, I tried. I mean, you can see where I tried to pull on the gutter, and the gutter bent. I couldn't get up there, so I was standing here until the water finally started going down, which was like 3 hours later.
As far as warnings, Christian said the first emergency alert came long after it was too late.
There wasn't any sort of warning about the flood until it was already happening. Like I was standing up there, and I got a severe flood warning on my phone when I was holding on there. So I was like, no shit, really.
Across the region, I kept hearing the same thing. People waking up to water with no warning. This was Burnett, Texas, July 5th. Another rain bomb, another watershed overwhelmed overnight.
What seems to tie all of these floods together is that they happened at night, and everyone says they didn't know they were coming. There were no warnings. When Hamilton Creek left its banks, for instance, and rushed towards these homes, folks say there were no emergency responders banging on their doors. There were no alerts coming across their phones. They just heard water, and then they stepped in it. And by that point, it was too late.
Looked towards the door, and I mean, the water was way up there, already coming in, and just in an instant, I called my neighbor and I said, water. I said, I'm getting flooded, Mike. Are you getting water? He said, yes. He said, oh my God.
Cat jumped on my chest, and she says, do you know there's water? I said, yeah, it's raining. So I was laying on the couch, and I got out, and as soon as I put my feet down, I said, whoa. I mean, it was way up there. I mean, and then it kept getting higher, and I heard some popping going on. I said, oh, shoot, the electricity. So I just opened the window and busted the screen out and jumped out. So.
And how deep the water was, I guess, waist deep?
Yeah, it's right here.
That has to be like terrifying.
Yes, and I had to go real slow because, I mean, it was slick. And then the currents, I mean, they were just.
Fortunately, the woman who lived in this apartment was not home when this flash flood happened. You can imagine what might have happened if she was. There is one concern, though, that this flood, combined with every other flood, might be forgotten. But there are communities like this throughout Texas, and they need help. Everything that were inside these apartments, all the clothes, the furniture, electronics, are ruined. They're a loss. And in many cases, so are people's cars. The water was up to the dash.
Everything. I mean, all of this is mud. All of this is freaking mud.
And she's not
Different
right
towns,
next to the river.
Different rivers, same nightmare. The alerts came too late or not at all.
Well, I'm just worried that you guys might get lost in the shuffle.
Oh, I'm sure
Yeah.
that might
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why I told him, don't worry about it.
That's a high possibility. Yeah.
You stay with us.
It's going to come down to neighbors
You'll be
helping
fine.
neighbors.
Yes.
Friends helping
Because,
friends.
I mean, they're still waiting. I was sitting over there waiting on the Red Cross, and they still haven't showed up. So, I mean, it's.
Mike at least was able to save his cat, but nothing else. Since 1913, according to the National Weather Service, 20 tropical cyclones or their remnants have dumped at least 15 inches of rain across inland Texas. This weekend was no different. One of the catalysts, Tropical Storm Barry. Its remnants helped fuel this entire disaster.
How a catastrophe like this happens is actually pretty easy to explain. It's because, quite frankly, the Guadalupe River Valley is one of the deadliest river valleys in the entire country. And here's why. The Guadalupe River itself comes from underground springs. So the force of the water typically isn't too strong. That's why you see here closer to the head springs, right across from Camp Mystic and Hunt, Texas, it's very narrow, very shallow. Further downstream around Kerrville, it gets deeper because of years of erosion. But typically, this is what you see. But the entirety of the hill country here sits on a limestone bedrock. So this limestone is very hard, very porous, and it doesn't absorb water like a sponge. Instead, it just passes water through. That's why this entire area is so prone and susceptible to flash flooding. Then you add in the worst case scenario. You have about a foot of rain falling right over the two forks of the Guadalupe River, and that water rushes and rises so quickly that people just didn't have enough time to respond. And that's how
That's metal,
campers
Ben.
were literally washed away out of their bunks. Over 50 people, including children, are dead, dozens more missing, and the search continues now 24/7 as a dog with officers just alerted that there might be something in this clump of trees right in front of Camp Mystic. So now other officers are scrambling to cut through and pick through this mess of debris and tree limbs to see what may be in there.
No one saw it coming, but now that we have, what excuse do we have to let it happen again?
Exactly. You know, it's heartbreaking to see, and that's not even half of it. That's not even the half of it. That's one spot. One spot. This goes on for miles. There was items found 30 miles from where it was originally.
Yeah.
There were
A woman
shipping
was found
containers in the top of
20
the tree.
miles Yeah, yeah. A woman was found in a tree 20 miles from where she started out yesterday.
Yeah. And we know several people that have been affected by this. And it's yes, if you look back historically, it happened in the 80s, but not like this. Not like this. And not as fast as this. It is literally like a dam within 10 miles burst. And at 1:00 in the morning,
Nobody had a chance.
yeah, exactly. But I want to end this. I have several other things I wanted to share, but we're already going over. So I want to end this on a good note with a good story. Okay, guys. But yeah, if you can, help out, whether it's Texas, New Mexico, South Carolina, the poor people in South Carolina after the hurricane. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Just please watch your six, everybody, because this is ridiculous. And there's so much more I wanted to get into, but we just don't have time today. So let me just share this, because I want to end this on a good note. And it just shows what you just see for yourself.
I want you to meet two girls that are not getting the notoriety on social media that they deserve. Silvana Garza and Maria Zarate. Two counselors, Mexican descent, responsible for saving over 20 young lives. 20 young lives over at Camp Mystic. I want to read some stuff to you. It's very important that you watch this because stories like this get swept under the rug because we are so devastated and mourning the death of children that the same feelings that we get of the overwhelming of the loss of life, we don't get with the same thing as the gain of life. So I want to read a couple of things to you that is absolutely incredible, what these girls have said. So I'm just going to read this off because I don't want to miss a thing. Normally I just flow and I say what's on my mind, but I want to read this stuff to you because it's so important that you take this in, that the parents that are out there with the 20 children that have the gratefulness and the blessings that they are still alive, intact, and you get to hold and kiss your children tonight is because of these two girls with so many lives that have lost. But they're quoted by saying that it was not until noon, they said, that the counselors were informed that some areas of the sprawling 725-acre campsite has been flooded, and survivors were gathering in a dining hall. The two girls said that the urgency of the situation was becoming very clear, and they began preparing the girls in their care for what might to become. They began writing the girls' names on their skin. They were trained to write the girls' names on their skin, that if God forbid that they don't make it, that they will be identified. We told them to make a bag with all of their things, whatever was most necessary to get ready to evacuate, because we are going to evacuate you. We are going to get you 20 kids out of here, and we are going to get you to safety so you can go home and hug your mommies and you can hug your daddies this night. It is on our shoulders to get you guys out of there. But we didn't know if they were going to evacuate us or not. So we wound up sitting around waiting longer than we wanted to. They attempted to calm the frightened girls with songs. They were singing songs with the girls, and they were playing games, keeping the children's backs away from the devastation as they were watching furniture and other camp equipment being washed away as the water was rising higher. But then all the girls started noticing, and they started going crazy, and they were crying because they didn't want to leave the camp, because they wanted to be with their parents. Garza Valdez said this. Okay, it was a terrible situation. I don't know how to explain it. It was something very awful. She said she and those with her didn't initially realize others at the camp have already lost their lives. What they spoke to us about at the time was that 25 girls were missing, and that two were found at a nearby camp ground alive as well. They didn't tell about the 23 girls that have lost their lives, so they did not incite or get the girls upset. Nobody had their cell phones. Nobody was able to make a call. But eventually, their group was rescued by a military team that arrived at the campsite about the same time as the Coast Guard and the National Guard. And the two girls said, if this was a dream of being saved, please never wake me up. They didn't think it was true. They didn't understand the gravity of the situation until they were leaving on the army trucks, where they saw the devastation all around them. So what I want to personally say is thank you to the both of you. You might not ever get the notoriety or the recognition that both of you have deserved, or that you deserve. But from my platform, and from the Midnight, and every one of my followers, and from all of my subscribers,
And us here too.
we say thank you. And we keep you in our hearts. And we keep the both of you in our prayers for being responsible for 20 less children's names in the papers, on TV, that would have added to the loss of life. Thank you again to the both of you. We are sending so much love to you and your families. And you deserve everything that life has to offer to you.
Exactly. And Cindy, amen. Hug your families and pray tonight. But, thank you, Lord, for giving us two strong young adults that saved 20 children. That's amazing. So I know, although it may tug at your heartstrings, it is a beautiful story, and these girls deserve our love, our prayers, and the recognition. And I hope this does get to Trump, because President Trump, excuse me, because they do deserve it. And amen, Stormbringer, little heroes. So thank you guys for joining us, and sorry we didn't get to everything tonight, but there's just so much going on. And hug your families tonight, and from me to you, hugs. Love you all. And I guess we'll see you in the morning. Thanks.